Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. Between the bustling metropolises of Tokyo and Nagoya lies Kofu City, the capital of Yamanashi Prefecture, Japan. Known for its peaceful atmosphere and attractive living conditions, this city would become the setting for what many consider Japan's most credible encounter with extraterrestrial beings. The incident, which occurred on February 23, 1975, would join the ranks of significant Japanese UFO encounters, alongside the Kira incident of 1972, though its detailed accounts would remain relatively obscure outside Japan's borders. The events began to unfold at approximately 7 p.m. on that February evening. Two 7-year-old boys, Masato Kono and Katsuhiro Yamahata, were enjoying themselves roller skating near the Honori housing estate in Kamamachi, Kofu City. Their attention was suddenly drawn to two peculiar objects in the sky above Mount Tatsuzawa. The objects, glittering with an orange hue, moved through the air while emitting an unusual crackling or ticking sound similar to that of a Geiger counter. The UFOs approached and hovered directly above the boys' heads. They could now see that one craft was larger than the other, and both featured 3 spinning devices beneath their main structure. A black tubular object extended downward from each craft, continuing to emit the chattering noises that had first caught their attention. Terrified by this close encounter, the boys initially sought refuge in a nearby cemetery, hiding behind tombstones as they watched the aerial display. The larger UFO soon departed, flying northeast toward Mount Otago, while the smaller craft descended toward a vineyard. As the boys regained their courage and emerged from their hiding place, they noticed a bright red flame in the distance. Curiosity overcame their fear, and they followed a dirt road leading to the fallow vineyards. As they approached, the red light transformed into a pale glow, revealing a landed silver craft. The boys, now just metres from the object, observed it in remarkable detail. The UFO featured a round dome mounted on a flat, disc-shaped base, with shining blue square windows around the dome section. Its surface had the appearance of a glowing silver stainless steel, similar to the material used in metal sinks. The craft measured approximately 5 metres or 16 feet in diameter and 2.5 metres or 8 feet in height, roughly the size of a car. The dome section rotated initially, but eventually came to a stop, causing sand to fly up in the otherwise still air. For approximately 5 minutes, the young boys studied the craft's features. They noticed strange raised symbols or characters on its surface that resembled hieroglyphics. One side displayed 5 distinct characters that, based on their pictorial appearance, the boys interpreted as meaning flying saucer, while similar, undecipherable characters appeared on another section. The craft rested on 3 semicircular spherical landing gears, visible at its base. Suddenly, a door opened above the hieroglyphic characters, extending downward to create a staircase leading into the craft. The interior, visible through the opening, contained complex machinery and featured flashing red, blue and green lights. Masato, peering inside, was startled to see a small, otherworldly being standing within the craft. The entity stood approximately 130 to 135 centimetres, or about 4 feet 3 inches to 4 feet 5 inches, tall, with a disproportionately large head and shoulders. Its brown, hairless head lacked conventional facial features. No eyes or nose were visible, and the face appeared mask-like, undulating with deep black wrinkles. Where a mouth should have been, 3 silver fang-like teeth protruded, each about 2 inches long. The being's hands had only 4 fingers, and its feet appeared to be divided into just 2 toes. It wore a silver suit that connected seamlessly to its mask-like face and carried a trumpet-shaped instrument resembling a rifle, which flared out at its barrel, similar to an old musket over its shoulder. The creature had distinctive long, rabbit-like ears and walked with noticeably bowed legs. While Masato observed the being, Katsuhiro stood on the opposite side of the craft. Hearing a clattering sound near his friend, he circled around to investigate. Suddenly, someone tapped him twice on the shoulder from behind. Expecting to see Masato, Katsuhiro turned around and found himself face to face with the alien being, himself also noticing its 4 distinct fingers as it withdrew its left hand, as well as the trumpet-shaped object it held in its right. The being attempted communication, producing squeaky sounds that the boys later described as resembling a cassette tape playing at high speed. Though it seemed to be trying to communicate, its message was incomprehensible to the boys, who later speculated it might have been attempting to say hello. Overcome with terror, Katsuhiro collapsed to the ground, instinctively playing dead, while keeping his eyes slightly open to observe the creature's movements. The being moved briskly around the area, appearing to survey its surroundings. When Masato arrived and saw his friend on the ground, he waited until the creature's attention was diverted before helping Katsuhiro to his feet and urging him to flee. However, Katsuhiro remained partially paralysed with fear, forcing Masato to carry him on his back. Before making their final escape, the boys turned back for one last look through the craft's open door. Inside, they observed a second being, slightly shorter than the first, but with notably long arms, seated in what appeared to be a control chair. This second entity was operating machinery and monitoring what looked like a television screen. The wall behind the creature was covered with complex instruments. After watching for about 3 minutes, the seated being noticed their presence, triggering panic in the boys, who then fled without looking back. The children ran directly to Masato's house, where both families were having dinner together and had grown concerned about the boys' whereabouts. They burst into the house, shouting about their terrifying encounter. Their frantic energy made it difficult for them to articulate clearly what they had witnessed. Initially, Masato's mother scolded them, believing their story to be an excuse for their tardiness. However, the boys' insistence and obvious distress convinced their mothers, Masako Kono and Hana Yamahata, to investigate their claims. The mothers followed their sons outside to a road near the vineyard. From this vantage point, they observed an orange object spinning in the distance. At first, they considered whether the light might be coming from a nearby house, but its floating appearance and pulsating nature convinced them otherwise. Taking shelter behind a telephone pole, they watched as the orange light flickered in regular cycles of 5 to 10 seconds. Masako Kono later described the light as resembling beautiful fireworks. Despite their curiosity, the still frightened children prevented their mothers from approaching any closer to the object. The mysterious craft continued its display for approximately 5 minutes before suddenly vanishing. Upon hearing the women's account, the fathers, including Toshiro Kono, rushed to the scene armed with makeshift weapons, but found no trace of the UFO in the darkness. The following day, Masato and Katsuhiro shared their experience with classmates at Yamashiro Elementary School, creating detailed drawings of both the creatures and the craft. The news quickly spread throughout the school, causing considerable excitement among the students. Their homeroom teacher, Miyoshi Ueda, listened to their detailed account and discussed it with fellow teachers. During lunch break, Miyoshi accompanied the boys to the vineyard for a field investigation. At the site, the boys pointed out depressions they believed were caused by the UFO's landing gear. The investigation revealed damaged concrete pillars and loose wires, which the boys attributed to the UFO's presence. Though initially sceptical, the teachers found the boys' sincere testimony compelling enough to report the incident to the Yamanichi Nichinichi Shimbun newspaper through school principal Nobuyushi Kaneko. A thorough field survey conducted with the newspaper's assistance revealed several pieces of physical evidence. The concrete pillars in the vineyard, which averaged 170 centimetres, or about 5 feet inches in height, were spaced approximately 2.2 metres, or about 7 feet 3 inches, apart, showed signs of damage. Wire netting was spread and displaced, suggesting the presence of a heavy object. One teacher reportedly detected radioactivity within the circular landing zone. Approximately 1 month after the incident, writer and researcher Hiroshi Minamiyama joined the boys for another investigation of the site. Based on the boys' drawings in the soil, they estimated the UFO's diameter at between 4.8 and 5 metres, or about 15 feet 9 inches to 16 feet 5 inches. The events of that evening were corroborated by several other witnesses in the area. Midori Sato, an insurance saleswoman, reported encountering unusual beings while driving home at around 5:30 p.m. Shortly after her experience, she came across a group of people who asked if she had seen a UFO. Kimio Atsushiba, a 34-year-old janitor at the Environmental Centre, located approximately 700 metres or 760 yards from the vineyards, observed a yellow luminous object moving slowly with a trailing light at around 6:30 p.m. Ichiro Minagishi, another second grader from the same elementary school, reported seeing a blue and white luminous body moving back and forth in the night sky about 1 kilometre or approximately 0.62 miles north of the landing site. Genshin Sato, chief priest of Jikoji Temple, also witnessed a blue and white luminous object flying in a zigzag pattern to the south of the temple at around 7 p.m. The Civil Aviation Bureau of Transportation Ministry attempted to explain the sightings, suggesting that the boys might have seen a YS-11 propeller plane flying at an altitude of 1,000 metres or about 3,280 feet. However, this explanation failed to account for the ground traces, the humanoid encounters, or the multiple witness accounts from different locations describing various aerial phenomena. The credibility of the Kofu incident has only strengthened over time. When the boys returned to the site at age 14 in 1982, they maintained their original account without deviation. Even more remarkably, in 2001, both witnesses underwent hypnosis for a television program and recounted exactly the same details they had reported as children. Their unwavering consistency across decades, combined with the physical evidence and multiple adult witnesses, has established the Kofu incident as one of Japan's most significant and well-documented UFO and extraterrestrial encounters. To this day, many UFO researchers and enthusiasts continue to visit the vineyard near Hanodi Danchi where the incident occurred, drawn by the compelling nature of the evidence and the consistency of the witnesses' accounts. Did these two young boys encounter something truly extraordinary on that February evening in 1975? It's a possibility supported not just by their own unwavering testimony, but by physical evidence and the accounts of multiple adult witnesses who shared in different aspects of this remarkable event.